First, I'm glad directly get into the topic income from other sources. As we know that we have the five types of income: income from salary, income from business or profession, income from house property, and income from long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains, and finally income from other sources. What is this income from other sources? It's the fifth and last head of income. As the name suggests, it is the income chargeable to tax, which is earned through other source of activities or performing an irregular activity. It is the income earned other than the epicenter of their or individual income sources. So this is the meaning for income from other sources. By the meaning, I can explain the meaning with a short example. The A worker is employed in a B company. Is anything received from B company is considered as a salary and it is chargeable under the income from salary under the head income from salary. But if he doing a work for another company by employing in B company, then he receive from that another company, example of D company. If you receive anything from the D company in the form of fees, commission, or brokerage charges, or anything may be, it will be considered as income from other sources for that employee other than what is getting from the primary employer called B company. So I can conclude this example for this meaning for income from other sources. Let me look into the examples. Income from guest lectures, salary or pension received by an MLA, MP and MLC. I want to give an example. I want to explain it briefly. Why salary to the MLA and MLC or MP is considered as income from other sources. You can say that it can be charged under the head of income under income from salary, but it cannot be happen because for an employee it's fixed that until and unless he work under an employer, he will get his salary. So it can be charged and it is a fixed charge and it can be charged under the head of income from salary. But for MLA, MP and MLC it can't be happen because the working tenure will be 5 years. If they are re-elected by the people and sent to the assembly or the parliament or the legislative council, then their period will be extended. It is not a permanent source of income for them. It's a short period of income for them. So it cannot be termed or included under the head of income from salary for them. It is the income from other sources. As serving the people is considered as a social service, being in a political party or anywhere. It is not a fixed or a permanent salary for that those MLA or MP and MLC. It is for the salary fixed for the tenure of 5 years. If he re-elected, he will continue with the salary or as the salary will be dropped and he no more getting any salary or benefit from the government for, or the or for his position as ex-MLA or ex-MP or ex-MLC, so that salary for any MLA, MP and MLC is considered as income from other sources. Next, fees, commission and remuneration received by an employee from other than his employer. Already given the example for explain the meaning of income from other sources. If a worker is getting anything from his own employer, like means he is working in B company, then is anything he is receiving from the B company, it will be considered as income from salary for the at worker. Other than that, he receive anything else from other company for rendering his service, that will be considered or chargeable under the head of income from other sources. Okay, next example, gift received. So we in the income tax we have the certain limit for the gift received or certain exemption for the gift received by anybody. So after the limitation, what is the limit given by the government is anything receiving more than that limit amounts, it will be considered more amount, it will be considered as the income from other sources and it will be under the head of income from other sources. Agricultural income, land situated outside India. So, as we know that any agricultural income is exempt from the tax in India. But if a farmer having a land outside the geographical boundary of our country and he is doing a agriculture there and is anything earning from that land through agriculture, it will be considered as or charged under the tax under the income from other sources. Okay. By this, are the some examples or these are the some example for income from other sources, and this theory can be referred by 6th semester BBS students of Bangalore University. So let me see some more examples as quick as so. Some other examples of income from other sources. Income from undisclosed sources. Anything undisclosed sources as they like anything land or property and is not disclosed anywhere in his accounts or in its individualities, that anything income earned from that it is considered as income from other sources. Interest from foreign securities, rent from letting vacant plot, dividends from mutual funds companies, etc., interest on bank deposits, insurance commission received, family pension, director fees, casual income, royalty received by the owner of an asset. These are the some of the example for income from other sources. And next we move on. This table is very important while we are doing the problems under the income from other sources. So first table, government securities. So in that there is a two category, tax-free government securities and less tax government securities. For tax-free government securities, we want to fully exempt that portion. If anything come under income from other sources and coming under the securities, it will be under the government security, that is fully tax-free means it should be fully exempted. And the second portion is less tax government securities. Under this case, what happened? It is fully taxable without deducting TDS. TDS means tax deducted at source. No grossing up will be done here. Okay, this is the treatment we want to be careful while doing the problem for the government securities. And next part is commercial securities. In the commercial securities also there will be two parts. One is tax-free commercial securities and less tax commercial securities. In the tax-free commercial securities there is a clause always to be grossed up. Anything amount it's given, it's always to be grossed up, or either rate of interest is given or interest amount is given. ಎರಡು ತರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Grossed up ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. We want to do the gross up when tax-free commercial securities are there. Either for the rate of interest is given or rate of amount is given. Anything may be given, we need to gross it up while we are doing the problems on commercial securities under the calculation of income from other sources. And for the less tax commercial securities, if interest amount is given up, gross up. This is the first clause for the commercial securities under less tax commercial securities. Okay, and second clause is interest rate given, don't gross up. Just fix in your mind, anything under less tax commercial securities, you want to consider the two things. One is interest amount is given or interest rate is given. If interest amount is given, just do the gross up and take it up. If the interest rate is given, don't gross it out, take it directly. Okay, this is the main treatment we want to provide for the government securities and commercial securities while dealing with the problems under the income from other sources. So I think you got with the table. So the next slide we We look into the table government securities and commercial securities, and that we look into the 4 points: tax-free government security, less tax government security. And in commercial securities we again look into two: tax-free commercial security and less tax commercial securities. So let me look into that. What are those? Tax-free government securities. These securities are issued by the state or central. It is fully exempt from tax under section 10 of 15. Okay, and the main point is what is it should not include in the total income. Okay, it is the securities issued by the state and state or central. It's fully exempt under the tax under the section 10 of 15, and it should not be included to the calculation of total income. This is the clause for the government tax-free government security we have. And the second point is less tax government security. It is issued by the government and interest on these securities are fully taxable without deduction of TDS. Less tax government securities are issued by the government and interest on these securities are fully taxable without deduction of TDS, and while providing the TDS or deductions, we have certain rates and which will be vary for one-to-one cases. So I will be explaining that in next class, and we come look into the third portion: tax-free commercial securities. These commercial securities, tax-free commercial securities, are issued by the local authority, statutory corporation, or a company in form of bonds and debentures. Okay, tax-free commercial securities or can be issued by local authority, statutory or corporation, or a company in form of bonds and debentures, and such interest what the securities are issued by the what the securities are issued by the local authority or statutory corporation or a company in the form of bonds and debentures, on such interest should be included in the calculation of gross total income. Have a deep clarification between the first and third point. In the tax-free government security, interest should not be included in calculation of total income, but in the third tax-free commercial security, such interest should be included to the calculation of gross total income. That is a major clause on the major difference between the tax-free government securities or tax-free commercial securities. So coming to the last clause, less tax commercial securities. Less tax commercial securities is issued by the company and tax will be deducted at source before paying any interest to the investors. So what happened here? Less tax commercial securities is issued by the company and tax will be deducted at source. Where at what time? Before paying any interest to the investors. Okay, for an example, if I am the investor in a company, in a company, I'm an investor. I want to get the interest amount of 10 lakh. I invested a 1 crore. I want to get the invested interest amount, sorry, 10,000 for this financial year. And what the company will do, they will deduct the tax giving my PAN card, and they will deduct the tax before paying the interest amount to me. If they are deducting TDS to me, it's at the rate of 10%, means they deduct the 10% in the 10,000, that means 1,000 they will deduct, and they will provide me the interest of 9,000, and again there's no and again in return there's there's nothing to pay from my side because I'm already paid to pay the tax. My tax is paid by the company on behalf of me, so that these less tax commercial securities are issued by the company and tax will be deducted at source before paying any interest to the investor, before paying any interest to the reinvestment, they will deduct the tax of that interest before paying. That's the meaning of less tax commercial securities. Dividend. Dividend is a unit of profit which is distributed to a shareholder based on the number of shares he holds in the company. We all know that dividends is a part of profit which you need to be shared to the shareholders in the company after providing all the deductions and paying the tax. Okay, so we have certain things to be disclosed while dealing the problems in income from other sources regarding the dividends. So let me know the treatment what we want to do. The treatment of dividend in income tax is as follows. The first point is dividend received from a domestic company mutual fund is fully exempt from tax. Any dividends received by a domestic company is fully exempted by the tax. Okay. Next, the second point is dividends paid by the cooperative society is fully taxable without deducting TDS. Any dividends paid by the cooperative society means is fully taxable without deducting any TDS. Okay. And the last treatment is we need to be observed. Dividends paid by the foreign company is fully taxable without deducting TDS. If we are receiving any dividends from foreign company means it's fully taxable without deducting TDS. Okay. Deductions available under income from other sources. Let me look into it. In case of family pension, rupees 50,000 or 1 by third of the amount received, whichever is less will be allowed as deduction. Okay, consider if you are a family pensioner, you're getting the pension of 20,000 rupees. When you take the 1 by third part of it means you will get to the amount of 3,333 rupees. Now consider 15,000 is less or 3,333 rupees is less. Absolutely 3,333 rupees is less. So we will provide for the deduction, we will provide to deduction 3,333 while filing the income tax. Okay. The second point is collection charges paid for collecting dividend and interest is deducted provided such income is chargeable to tax. Any collection charges paid for collecting dividend and interest is deducted for such type interest is deducted at that time for such type of income is chargeable to tax. The next point is any other expenses incurred to earn an income will be allowed as deduction. So any expenses incurred to earn an income is what are those expenses? For example, depreciation, repairs, insurance, expenses on subletting, letting out building with plant, machinery and furniture, owning and maintenance of resource, etc. And take note, except the expenditures incurred for purchasing the lottery ticket, all other expenses can be considered to earn an income. Interest on securities. Interest on securities are the incomes which are to be taxed in the hands of the recipient. You consider if you are holding any securities and you're receiving any interest on those securities means then you are the responsible or liable to pay the tax. Okay, the recipient means the one who holding the securities with him here in this case. Okay, and is the responsible to pay the tax anything interest received on those securities. Uh, in the interest on securities, some of the securities are exempt from fully exempt from the tax. So let me look into those securities. Post office cash certificates of 5 years, post office national savings certificates of 12 years, post office saving bank account exempt up to 3,500 rupees, and in case of joint account rupees 7,000 is exempted. Post office cumulative time deposit account, public account for post office savings account interest up to rupees 5,000, fixed deposit in post office, national plan certificates of 10 years and 12 years, national defense gold bonds 1980. If you are holding any of these securities and you have made the investment or receiving any interest from these securities, and then it is fully exempt from the tax, but consider for the post office saving account and the public account for post office saving account. There is a certain amount of exemptions. Consider that for post office saving bank account, if you are receiving any interest up to 3,500 is exempted. In case of joint account means up to rupees 7,000 is exempted. If you are holding the public account for post office saving account means up to interest of 5,000 is fully exempted. Okay. Next, we look into the next list, fully exempted from the tax. Special Deposit Scheme 1981, Special Bearer Bonds 1991, Treasury Saving Deposit Certificate 10 years, Interest on 7% Capital Investment Bonds, Notified NRA Bonds, Interest on Bonds issued by Local Authority of State Finance Equity notified by Central Government, Interest on Relief Bonds and Saving Bonds. Here also keep a keynote on interest on 7% capital investment bonds, because any capital investment bonds are above the 7% and they are receiving interest from it, that should be fully taxable into tax, but they are made the capital investment bonds of interest of 7% means the interest received on those bonds will be fully exempted. Okay, these are the list which are fully exempt from the tax. The securities fully exempt from the tax. Rate of TDS applicable. Look into the table very carefully. Interest on debentures or securities issued by or on behalf of local authority or statutory corporation, listed debentures of a company, any securities of the central or state government. If you are holding any of these securities and you're receiving the interest on this means 10% is applicable, 10% of TDS is applicable to be deducted. Any other securities including interest on non-listed debentures means then also you want to provide a 10% only. Okay, and consider the third point also, interest other than interest on securities to a resident. In these three cases, all consider the 10% only. You want to provide the TDS of 10% for these cases. If any interest on debentures or securities issued by a statutory corporation or listed debentures of a company, if you are having means if you are receiving the interest on those means provide 10%. If any other interest or debentures, non-listed debentures means if you are receiving the interest means provide, then also provide 10%. If your interest other than interest on securities means to a resident, provide 10%. Okay, and next, winning from lottery, horse races or crossword puzzle or card games or other than game of any sort to a resident or non-resident. If you're earning any income from these sources, then provide 30% of TDS. Insurance commission to a resident. If you are an insurance agent and you're receiving insurance commission means you want to provide 10% of TDS. Okay. Fees for professional or technical services to a resident. If you're receiving fees for professional or technical service to a resident means then you want to provide a 10% of TDS. So be careful with this table when asked for the TDS reductions while solving the problem. This table is much important, and regarding this table only the problem will be solved when they ask for the TDS reductions. So interest on securities for non-listed debentures provide 10%. Interest on debentures of security by listed means provide 10%. Interest other than interest on securities means provide 10%. If you are earning income from any if you are earning any casual income means provide 30% TDS. If you are earning insurance commission from a resident means provide 10%. Any fee for professional technical service you render means provide 10% of TDS. Okay. Tax shall not be deducted at source. Guys, look into it very carefully because this list is very important while you solving the problem. Okay, 4.25% of national defense bonds is not deducted at source. Okay, national development bonds, 7 years national savings certificates, debentures issued by cooperative society or a public sector company or any institution notified by central government. 6.5% gold bonds of 1980, any security of central or state government. Interest payable by account payee check does not exceed rupees 2500. This 7 list is very important. This what are the items in this list are not deducted at source, and this list will be appear in the adjustment or will be appear in the problem you want to keep in the mind. For these sources, the tax not deducted at the source. Okay guys, I think you get it. If you go further, and the last part of our theory. So continuing, bank interest on fixed deposit. Man, if you're having any fixed deposit on bank, the interest on it is fully taxable by deducting TDS if interest amount exists rupees 10,000 per annum. Okay. Next, gift received. If anything gift received by your family relative means is fully exempted. If the gift is received from your friend or non-relative means exceeding rupees 50,000 is fully taxable. And next, insurance commission received. Insurance commission is received is fully taxable. If more than 5,000, it is subject to TDS. So net receipt to be grossed up. To find out the gross commission. Sorry, to find out the gross commission, you must use formula net amount into 100 divided by 90. Why 90 is taken? Because 10% is provided to the TDS. Okay. Next, casual income. Casual income exceeding rupees 10,000 is fully taxable deducting TDS if winnings from crossword puzzle, lottery, etc. Okay. Horse race. If in the case of horse race means exceeds rupees 5,000 is taxable. No expense is allowed as deduction in this case. To calculate gross winnings, net winnings into 100 divided by 70. Why we have taken the 70 means 30% is TDS is applicable for casual incomes. Okay, we are given in the table of rate of TDS applicable. While doing the problem, look into this very carefully. The three you should get to know the three things you should get to know is rate of TDS applicable and interest on securities or deposits or bonds exempt from the tax, fully exempt from the tax, and for which of the securities and for which of the things tax shall not be deducted at source. These things you need to remember while solving the problem. Guys, this is the last class of theory. From the next